Is live now. No errors from YouTube, so I think we're good. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and do the intro. You guys won't hear it, so here we go. Oh, wait. Let me start recording the call here, though. All right. It's all good.
Let's do it on three. 1, 2, 3.
One half a step too late or too early, you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. On this team, we fight for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know that's the difference between winning and losing.
Mean in the green. It's right here for you.
That's football, guys.
Go Mean Green.
Welcome to the GoMeanGreen.com Barbershop Podcast, dedicated to students, alumni, and fans that truly bleed green.
Don't give them room to breathe.
Follow us on Twitter at GoMeanGreen and visit our website, GoMeanGreen.com.
Love that. Gotta love it, baby. Here we go.
Now, your hosts of the GoMeanGreen.com Barbershop Podcast, Evan, Harry, and Ashton.
So where to hit it? Let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 204th edition of the GoMeanGreen.com Barbershop Podcast. This is Evan,
This is Harry.
This is Ashton.
and we are here to talk North Texas football. Guys, we are here after an agonizing loss at Cal, but I have to say, for a West Coast showing, starting out the game at the end of the first quarter, 20-0, but ending the game 23-17, ending the half at 20-3 and ending at 23-17. You had to feel good towards the end, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. Last drive, there's a lot of ifs, ands. I'm not really even know where to start, but it was disappointing.
Yeah, it's always disappointing when you get the loss. I do feel like the way they finished the game was pretty strong, but the start was just, an abomination. And it's pretty funny. There's somebody on the board that made the comment, we need to bring Coach Graham Harrell back from USC to coach the first half of these games, and then we can have Bodie Reeder coach the second half. Because Reeder really seems to get things clicking in the second half. It's just in the first half we sort of fall apart. So I thought we grew up a lot in this game. And I'm not one for moral victories, but this is a game where I felt like our linebackers especially seemed to figure it out. The light bulb went off. So I don't think it was a lost cause. I think it was a good performance in the second half, and hopefully that'll carry on into this week against UTSA.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what you said. I don't think it was an abomination. I think that's pretty harsh. But I mean, and everybody was bitching about Graham last year, so it's like anybody who says we should bring Graham back is the answer. It's just kind of funny to me. But yeah, I mean, I walked out of there, and I don't think the players should have walked out of there being that upset. I mean, yeah, it sucks to lose, but Cal's pretty good, and everybody anointed their defense as this amazing defense. So why are we upset that they shut our offense down? They're a good team, but we did really well in the second half, and it kind of sucks when you lose your second best player on the team early in the game when Rico went out. I mean, we're not as deep at receiver experience wise as we were last year. So when Rico goes out, and you've got to rely on guys like Dion and Jair that just don't have like a ton of in-game experience outside of special teams for Dion. You're going to have some issues occasionally, and I think Mason for the most part was hurried some throws, and he didn't have as much time as I think we wanted. I think we ran the ball pretty good once we figured it out, but Yeah, I mean, we went down. We played on a short field, to start the game a bunch of times on defense, and I think that kind of sucked. I think we got hosed again on that pass interference call, a couple of them, and then another non-pass interference call at the end. That I went back and watched the highlights and watched the melt reel that I get from the schools, and I mean, he got hit before the ball at the very end. That's not going to say that changed the outcome of the game. We might have still lost anyway, but we also might have won. So that's just weird. But I wasn't upset after the game, and I think that all the players weren't upset. And I think Ref, after the game, I saw him talking to a lot of players on defense, and he wasn't giving them the once over. He was giving them, very much, a lot of just credit and saying, hey, good job. And that's a lot of good stuff going on there. And I think that Seth said the same thing in his post-game speech. I think that was really smart because, yeah, we didn't look great in the first half. We started clicking, towards the end of the first half, and then we got on track right to start the second half with the Darden play. But overall, yeah, it sucks to lose that game, but I came out of that a lot more positive than I thought I would.
Yeah, let's talk about how we started this off, because when the opening drive, the defensive penalties, there was a horse collar, pass interferences. Are we seeing this? Is this because this is a young defense or a defense and we just seem to get behind? We're playing way off the receivers. Even the announcers made the comments that, hey, that was an easy pass for them to make for first down because there was a big cushion. There's issues with the defensive backs and the coverage, and it seems to be different people. We can't blame just one person. There's a lot of penalties like the face mask that were really frustrating. Are we seeing the defense coming along? Are they having problems and people are starting to figure it out? And is UTSA going to come up with the same stuff?
I mean, I don't think it's problems. I think it's just learning. I mean, again, this is such a young defense, and everybody's just got to our linebackers and our safety, or our cornerbacks, our linebackers and cornerbacks are basically all brand new. And that's, I got a little bit annoyed when I heard people saying that we were playing off the ball and that was bad, because we were also saying that we were pressing too much and getting beat the first two games. So maybe we weren't trying to get beat as much over the top, and so we were trying to back off a little bit. I mean, you got to have it one way or the other. You're going to complain about it. So I think that was a smart play to give them some underneath BS, and then not get beat over the top, because against SMU we did get beat over the top, and that's what hurt us. So the defense is trying to, I guess, get their sea legs under them and figure everything out and get experience. And I liked the defensive game plan. I thought our defensive line played great. Hamilton looked awesome. He just looked like a beast, just tearing up a Power 5 offensive line. So I really liked that. I thought Dion got some good pressure. We had good pressure. It sucks in college football a lot of times. You've got 4 or 5 guys out wide because of this, because the way college football is right now. And if the quarterback scrambles, a lot of times there's nobody spying the quarterback, so he's gonna have room to run. And that's just the name of the game. Mason can do it sometimes, but a lot of times he just tries to make a throw, and we don't want him to take hits. So I think that Cal just made some plays when they needed to on offense. I don't think Cal necessarily was great. In the second half, Cal looked like crap, and we made them look kind of bad. So all in all, if we play a Power 5 conference or a Power 5 team like that, especially one that's 2-0 and just came off beating a top 25 team, that is, it's crappy to say, but that is a moral victory in my opinion. And I want the W, don't get me wrong, but the defense is young, and they're gonna figure it out. It's just gonna take a little bit of time. There's gonna be some growing pains, and I think everybody just needs to kind of be patient and see how.
I should clarify. The abomination comment is talking about the first quarter. They scored 20 points. 20 points unanswered in the first quarter. That's not good. Now, on the positive side, to agree with Ashton, if you look at the second, third, and fourth quarter of this game, man, we basically won them. So it was that one quarter that put this game out of reach. And when I say out of reach, we all are following the game. That last drive, it could have been a win. I really, that was a very exciting finish, even though it didn't work out our way.
Well, anytime you're in a position, and I don't mean to cut you off,
a touchdown and you win the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
I mean,
and
you
if
could
that
see.
if that PI doesn't happen or gets called, I mean I hate doing that, but like that was a pass interference. Like it was a penalty, and they didn't call it, and we got 2 crappy pass interference calls earlier in the game. So you just start, all the players on the sidelines were yelling "home cooking" at the ref. Seth was livid about that pass interference call that didn't happen. Livid. I don't know if I've seen him that angry in a specific play ever, and I think that he was justified because the guy hit Dion. I'm not talking about the shorter play. I'm talking about the Dion one that was earlier in that drive. It's 15 yards, and we're already, I think, at almost midfield at that point. So you're looking at a couple really nice opportunities and 3 more downs to get the ball in the end zone. We had time. We had timeouts, I believe. I think we still had 2 or 1 left. So I mean, things were kind of looking okay. And with the way that our running game had been playing, I was kind of hoping we were going to pass the ball a few times, get a couple first downs, and then maybe try some misdirection or something like that, and get Trey to spring one open in the middle of the field because they were playing such a kind of a prevent D. But they've got good cornerbacks and good safety, so I don't know how that works out. But yeah, I mean, it was exciting. We got in the hole early, and it killed us, and that's kind of really the name of the. I mean, the way the way to write up this game is that we got in a hole early, and we weren't able to dig ourselves out.
So it
the
was.
scary thing, Evan, is that they scored 20 points in the first quarter. We held them to 2 field goals. I mean, those 2 drives could have easily been, touchdowns if we, hadn't held them to field goals in those situations. So it could have even been worse.
Right. And I totally agree there. And I felt like also in the first half, our field position played against us. We seemed to be always going for the block punt. I know we did it several times. We went for the block punt and ended up with pretty crappy field position. And I know they were trying to get something going, but that was pretty frustrating. But you felt like at the beginning of this game that it really was almost a repeat of what we saw against SMU. It was, right out of the gate. Now, obviously, SMU scored really quick, but it was looking really bad. One thing I got to bring up, and we'll start talking about offense. A lot's been made of this, and my wish on my wish list for the rest of the season is I'd like to get Mason to get his touch back. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like his magic, the little touch that he has to do things, the great decisions, putting it in there, you saw just like little flickers of it, but the flame wasn't just steady. For the second game in as many weeks, you had the throw it away. Instead, throws it. It was intercepted, where it could have just been thrown away. Maybe just trying to do something and get something going. But I mean, you can't fault him. He's the best we've had back there in forever. But I just need that. I just want to see that little touchback. And against UTSA would be the perfect time to have it.
Absolutely. I think it's worth noting in this game, Katie Davis just came on the scene in a big way. I don't know if that's because the Beyond the Green segment sort of pushed him into having a great success, but 13 tackles. I'm sorry, born and bred. 13 tackles in one game for, I guess he's a sophomore now. Pretty impressive.
He didn't get the red shirt last year. I was kind of hoping he would have.
He should have redshirted last year.
Well, we needed, but that's the weird thing about that was that he was good enough to help us out on special teams a lot last year, and he went in on some actual defensive plays, and so yeah, I mean we're getting off track, but yeah, he's a stud, man. I was preaching about him last year. I think that he's just a little bit small, but other than that, man, he's violent.
Well, there was right after the half, there was a 4th and 3 that he was back there about to get the guy for a loss, and she just bounced off of him. And, that was the one thing that stuck out in my mind. But, yeah, he had they're seeing guys step up like that, see players come out each week that, you guys obviously know about them, but the average fan might not know their names, and seeing them, get this is the future, and seeing that's really great. Let's talk about the running backs. We were hoping to see a lot from Siggers. What did he end up with? 88 yards or something like that. He had another good game.
88 yards. He had on 18 carries. I guess he had actually 95 yards, but he lost 7 on 1. But that being said, you gotta like this kid, man. He runs with a real reckless abandon. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's we've been talking about him we talked about him last week. Obviously, I was talking about him in our first episode, but he had a great camp. There's not much more to say. The dude is just a good running back, and our running game looks real nice right now. I like the punches we have. I would imagine if all these guys start kind of fighting for playing time, that we might see some different packages where we're getting both guys in there, or two of the guys in there at one time. Maybe get some more passes in the flats. I think our first play of the game was a swing pass to Nick Smith, so on offense. So I mean, we've got weapons back there, and that might be nice because we might be without a receiver, or one of our better receivers, if not our best receiver for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that, Ashton. Let me bring up one thing about the rushing game. I was, looking at the stats of the rushing, I was really surprised. I mean, not totally surprised because of what we've been doing, but Mason Fine had 0 rushing yards, 0 net rushing yards this game. He had 4 carries, 0 rushing yards. We're so used to seeing him mobile and coming up with stuff and running the ball and slides and please don't take that hit. Like some people would consider like a Dak Prescott. He's got the passing, but every once in a while he's going to run it, and that keeps him guessing. I understand wanting him to keep safe, but we're just not seeing that running around, and maybe that's all for the good to keep him healthy for the rest of the year. But it was interesting to see 0 yards.
I would accept minus 100 yards from him
if
rushing if I could get in writing that he would be healthy for the entire season.
Agreed.
Right.
I mean, the net yards is always kind of weird. He made that one good run and got a first down.
Yeah.
And then he had another run where he almost got hit late too. He slid. And it seemed like he almost got hit late. I was like, it's weird sometimes. There's some plays that happen, and I'm like, I think to myself, we would get called for that. And I hate playing that card. It's such a chicken-ass way to think, but I'm still pissed about that PI, obviously. But one of the first quarter, that's the thing is that we had Cal, I think it would have been not 3 and out, or maybe it would have been 3 and out, but they got the PI, and then they got the touchdown after on that drive. I think that we went down 7-0, but we got in that quick hole, and it's like the penalty that was questionable, whatever, but it kind of eats away of all the momentum, and then the defense thinks they're going off the field and they're not. So there's a little bit of there's a little deceiving tiredness going on there. So I want to get off the field, but then I can't. So I don't know. I hate playing that card, but I just think that we did get some crappy calls against us and one very large non-call. But yeah, I mean, I'd agree with Harry, man. Like, I'll take negative 1,000 if Mason's going to play all 12 games. 30.
So speaking of not wanting to get hurt, let's talk about what has to be the big disappointment. First of all, we didn't see him a lot in the SMU game, and I know that was really discerning. But now with the injury, and he was hurt, you was seeing on crutches. But Rico, what's the current situation there? What are we looking at? Because this is really deflating.
He's questionable, as far as I know. I don't think there's a specific diagnosis yet. Running more tests, I think. So I don't know. I haven't been up there in a couple of days, so I haven't been able to get any kind of scoop on that. But yeah, I mean, when he doesn't go back in, you're kind of, very deflating. But I was talking to him, standing right next to him at one point, and just BSing, and he didn't seem like it was the end of the world. So maybe he knew something. Maybe he knows his body a little bit. Rico's always kind of been banged up. He didn't play in last year's bowl game. That kind of sucked. He was hurt a lot of his freshman year. So we didn't get him for I think we missed like 5 games his freshman year, or 4 games or something like that. So yeah, man, that stung. That really stings. If he doesn't get to go on Saturday, then that's gonna hurt.
Well, hopefully we can get him back before Houston. The other thing that I was going to say, one of the on my notes here during the game, if it could go wrong, it did go wrong, was the shorter drop in the end zone.
Oh man.
And you could tell. Oh my God, you could tell that he was
It's a hard adjustment
absolutely.
to make, but yeah, that sucks.
I mean, it was right there. You could tell he was absolutely devastated by that. But the good thing is he made some good catches to make up for it, and I did drop another one. But I was going both ways on what I felt about his performance the other night. But that first drop was like, oh, we're there, we're getting there, and then it just hurt.
I'll tell you one thing about him though. You noticed watching in the game, he looks like he belongs. I mean, that guy has got a build and some size like. He's a serious, a P5 type caliber player, so that's certainly encouraging.
Yeah,
I'll tell you who else nobody talks about is Darden, man. Jalen Darden, that touchdown at the beginning of the second half, and that guy just makes plays, and he never gets any accolades, but I think the thing that makes me feel a little bit better with Rico's injury is a guy like Darden that's there. You know what I mean? He just produces. He just produces every game.
He's gonna make the first guy miss every single time.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna. The first guy, I would be hard pressed to find a handful of plays in his career where he's caught the ball and the first guy tackled him, because he literally does make the first guy miss every time. He made 2 really nice moves in the SMU game, just to get 5 or 6 extra yards, and obviously he made a really nice move. I think Jair was the one who made that block too on the sidelines, I believe, to spring JD on that touchdown to start the second half. But yeah, maybe we start with incorporating Mike Law and Darden. Mike Law and Mason were on the same page on one play that would have been maybe a touchdown as well. So you talk about Mason's touch. Sometimes I think Mason just presses too much overall. I think he's got that desire. I mean, the kid wants to be great. He puts a lot of pressure on himself sometimes, and
Right.
I think that made that pick that was just a bad idea, and I think he was even shocked that he did it, because I think he had an idea and it didn't pan out, and it was like, oh dude, and Seth kind of grabbed it immediately and talked to him, and I love their dynamic. They have such a cool dynamic. It's really interesting. So yeah, I think that I'm excited, because I think that conference play, I can't wait for conference play to get here, because our out-of-conference schedule is so tough this year. But I'm just excited because there's all these little positive things, and I really do feel like, I'm around the team a lot. I'm with the team at these games. I'm on the sidelines, and it's like a new team sometimes. I'm seeing a lot of guys that I just haven't seen before, because they either weren't traveling or they were redshirting and they were just standing there and they never went in. And I'm seeing just new guys. So I feel like this is a really young team. So again, I think that it's bad timing, because you've got guys like Mason and Rico and Hambone and Kyrie that are just these studs that are seniors, and you want them to go out on top of the conference championship and potentially a bowl win. But you've got these young dudes that we're also trying to nurture, and they're the future of our program.
Keep in mind, though, Ashton.
It's weird.
Keep in mind the rule change now, where the new guys can play in 4 games. It's totally changed the way these programs are getting. Because why would you not want to get young guys in and get them a chance to play if they're still going to be able to redshirt? So that's, I think, another factor that comes into why you're seeing so many of these guys getting out on the field, which is great. Great thing to see.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's sorry, my Skype is messing with me right now. It's like delayed on crazy. It's just it is interesting, like I was saying with the whole youth thing, because there's a lot of times where there's these encouraging moments. It feels a lot like 2016 sometimes, because there's so much newness, and which isn't great because that was a 5-win team, and I think we're way better than that. But it seemed like there's some growing pains, and I think that the takeaway from that game, that flight home, was not like a flight home after a loss. It's not like they were partying. All right, we definitely weren't like yay, just joking around, but there was it was business. They were upset, but there was optimism, and I think that was encouraging.
Yeah, I felt pretty good. I mean, after the game was over, there's sometimes, like after the SMU game, I was very disappointed. After this game, which I did subscribe to the Pac-10 or the Pac-10 network for one day. Actually, I did the Sling TV 7-day trial, and it came through pretty well. So I get to watch the game. Of course, those announcers were obviously who they were rooting for, but that's who's paying the bills for them. So I get it. I totally get it. But it was good to see to watch the game, and when it was over, I felt pretty good about it. I felt like a missed opportunity at the end, and then you go back through the whole rest of the game in your head going, if we would just gotten that, if he wouldn't have dropped it, if we could have just made that first down, we had that time, if we would have had another timeout. There's lots of things you could say. But the bottom line is Cal's a good team. They've done some things. They got skins on the wall. I think it was a good bounce back after SMU. It was a good bounce back because we could have just floundered at halftime and walked away with nothing. No points. We got those 3 points right before half, but we could have come back and just basically mailed it in at half and then try to regroup this week. So I'm feeling pretty good. So feeling pretty good right now going into a game against UTSA. I don't care what our record is. I don't care what UTSA's record is. This isn't always a game where people are excited. Both teams are very up for this game, and we always have a good showing, crowds, and everybody's excited. So, what are your guys' thoughts going into this weekend, which looks like be great weather for football?
I don't know about Ashton. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I don't feel good about this game. You can laugh all you want to, but I've watched.
Harry's become the downtrodden North Texas guy on this podcast. Evan's the straight guy. I'm the optimist, and Harry hates everything.
I think that's a little strong, but I do
maybe
feel...
it's just an abomination. No,
Well,
I'm not. I mean, dude, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you in a sense of I am fairly nervous. Only in the fact that I really, really, really don't want to lose this game.
Well,
Now, I'm not nervous that we're going to lose. I hear
us talking about, hey, I feel good about our performance at Cal heading into a game like UTSA where, those guys hate our freaking guts. And, last year, which, by the way, I was in the Alamodome for the first time.
It was the last game last year.
Literally, it was the last play of the game. I was sitting there about to have a heart attack. My wife's like, you take this too seriously. And I was like, no, man, we're fixing to lose this damn game. So these guys, they're like, I know that the record against them is 3-3. So at least, thank God, we evened them out. The worst nightmare was back in the MAC days. MAC just didn't give a two craps about UTSA game. At least now, I think Luttrell understands that this is an important game for us, and I appreciate him so much for doing that. They finally got the right attitude about how to approach this game, but this is a rivalry game. I know the guys on Go Mean Green, they're not our rivals. You know what? They're in the state of Texas. We have a 3-3 record against them. It goes down to the last play last year. It fits all of the criteria for what I consider to be a rival. And that makes me nervous, especially when I see the lines like 18, 19 points. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's 1-2 teams. I agree. It's always a tough game. Harry, I can remember us talking to Arkansas State fan years ago about UTSA, and he was like, they'll never be anything. They're blah, blah, blah. I was like, look, there is nothing in San Antonio besides Spurs, and UTSA fits that, and they've shown that, and they get the support. So they show up, and they lost to Baylor Big 63-14. They beat Incarnate Word 35-7, and they lost to Army 31-13. So when you're playing Army and Baylor, how good are you? Now, I know Army's kind of a question mark this year because of their showing what they've had. But I don't really feel like we know exactly what UTSA brings. And, if they're watching game film about our first 2 weeks by going down by at least 20 points to the other team in the first quarter, they're going to take some notes.
Well, you throw Army out of the equation completely because I was looking at the Army box. I mean, Army threw for 2 yards. I mean, Army is not your normal opponent. You know what I mean? You just got to throw them out. Baylor,
well, Army almost beat Michigan, and then
exactly.
they barely beat Rice. I'm just like, what?
But I don't think you can say them beating them. I mean, they dominated. Don't get me wrong. They dominated UTSA, but I don't think you can count that against UTSA. I think the Baylor game, hell, man, what do we know? I mean, with Charlie Brewer and what they got going on there, I mean, the way they cheat, they may end up winning the Big 12 this year. They could. You don't know about Baylor. They may be really good. And then the one that really concerns me is Incarnate Word, because, we love that coach at Incarnate Word, Eric, forgetting his last name. Anyway, he's really running a good program there, and a lot of people thought that game could have been competitive. And they pretty much, curb stomped Incarnate Word. So I don't. It's too early, man. We're in week 4 basically. It's hard to really get a gauge. And part of that's what makes me nervous, with playing them this week.
Ashton, thoughts on you?
Go ahead. What's up? Sorry, I cut you off. And
Thought?
I keep my Skype is just not agreeing with me right now. Sorry.
That's all right. We don't have to see you.
This is one of those games. I think that, we need to get up for it. It is a rivalry. I hate giving them the credit that it's a rivalry because I think we're above them and they're beneath us with their garbage fans.
Wow.
Tell us what you think, Ashton.
Wow.
The stuff I've heard from their fan base, I've been to a lot of stadiums, man, and I've never heard a fan base attack the production team. Like they attack my audio guy.
I remember that last year. You were pretty like, wait, what? What are you guys talking
that
about?
That dude's ass. I almost jumped in the crowd, and one of the offensive linemen, this is in 2016, had to kind of tell me to chill out because it was going to make UNT look bad because I was talking so much noise to the fans. Anyway, they just don't have anything. They're just bored, and when the Spurs aren't playing, they're like, what do I do? I guess I like.
Wow.
But,
here we go.
Yes.
Well, all right. You can. I know that you're saying their fans are miserable.
They don't know. They're just not. They don't know how to be fans, but whatever. But
they don't know how to do a cannon either.
What?
They don't know how to have a cannon either. That was a.
I
remember that. That was a video that was circulating around. No, I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. I have always thought UTSA is good for us to play football and always get good crowds either way. I know you hate the fans. I know you hate the situation. But San Antonio,
I agree.
UTSA playing football is good for San Antonio, and it's good for the area, and it's good for football we play. And it brings fans in. They always bring a lot of fans. Even if they're less than desirable, they're fans, and they're coming to the game. I get it.
I think my point is that I would love it if we had a badass rivalry with La Tech. A school that has this history. We've played them for years, and instead they're just like, this is UTSA, and they have nothing. They have no skins on the wall. They have nothing.
So it's like what SMU says about us, basically.
And
yes,
okay, cool.
That's exactly
great.
right.
And that's fine. We whatever. I mean, I'll have Mean Joe kick all their asses. Whatever. And I got so annoyed, and Harry and Evan, you both can, you can attest to this. 2 years ago, in 2017, where everybody on the freaking board was announcing them like the national champion, and somebody, I don't remember who it was, said UTSA could go undefeated. I don't know who that was. But we were giving them all this, they were like, we should fear them, and I just don't. I don't fear them. I've never feared that program.
I think we always need to take them seriously, though.
I think it's great that we play them. They're down 35. It's good. I would almost kind of like it if they got to become a better program and they make this rivalry get more going. I still think that SMU is our bigger rival.
Right,
And,
and because they're down the street. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
UTSA wanted a
there's
rival
more
out of
to
the
it.
gate. UTSA wanted a rival out of the gate. Texas, it's in there. Texas State's not at the caliber UTSA is at. So it's natural that we would be their rival, but it is what they're thinking. So
And you hate rivals, and I hate UTSA. So there you go. That means I guess they're our rival,
Right.
And so I think that the other thing is, goes back to that 2013 season, man. They ruined our conference championship bid. And on senior day at home, or what was it, senior day? Yeah,
It was cold. It was cold.
It was like 20 degrees out. I'm like, freezing cold out there with a damn camera. It was so stupid.
Another reason to hate UTSA. Is that what you're saying?
No, and I remember that game because I remember like all the players are wearing the old school big North Texas raincoats.
Oh yeah.
And I remember Darnell was laying on the ground crying on that last incomplete pass, and it was what was it, like 13-15 or something like that? It was a really low scoring game, and it was miserable. We lost that game, and it just sucked. And I remember that forever because it's disheartening. But
I'll tell you what kind of freaks me out. This was our last game last year. This is way too early to be playing UTSA. Have we ever played them this early? It's always like November.
Oh, it's super early because it's usually 3 years. It's been 2 years since the last game of the season.
Yeah.
And then that game that we're talking about, 2013, when we first played them, was, senior day. So the second to last game of the season. And then I think in 2014 was our last game. That's the Zach Whitfield, I got it moment. 2015, that was our only win. Okay. That was Chico.
I forgot about that.
2016, it was late in the season, but it was I think it was like early November. So it wasn't the last game of the season. There was like 3 games left because I think the next week we needed that. We had to win it. Southern Miss came to our house, and we had to win that game to become the 5-win team, to become like bowl eligible, essentially because of the APR or whatever. So I'm going on a tangent here about UTSA when we played it, but yes, it's always been really late. This is the first, and it's our 4th game of the year. Kind of like getting it out of the way because I don't want it to mean a lot down the road if we do lose.
Yeah.
But,
you don't want to come out. Well, it's obviously a big game, whether we want to call it or not. You just never know how it's going to turn out. But then a week after that, we play Houston in Denton, which should be a great crowd. It should be exciting. Houston right now is 1-2, but you can't tell by their record because they beat Prairie View A&M 37-17, but they lost to Oklahoma 49-31, which is of course the 4th ranked team, and then they lost to Washington State 31-24, which is also a ranked team. So we don't really know what they're looking at. They play tomorrow night. They play Tulane. So we can watch tomorrow night, see what they look like.
That is going to be a great football game. If you can watch that game, people go.
Yeah, it's on regular.
It's going to be a great game because Tulane has really improved. I love that coach there, Willie Fritz. He's a guy that his name came up when we were looking to hire Luttrell, and he's completely turned that Tulane program around. So that'll be a fun game to watch, and like you said, scout a future opponent.
Yeah, it's on regular ESPN, so it's definitely a game you can watch. But so that's our next 2 weeks. Playing UTSA, playing Houston. There's a lot going on there. I'm excited. It looks like the weather's going to be nice. 80s or whatever. I'm excited about it. Not being miserably hot out there at this time of year. It's always a toss-up. But I'm just hoping, my big wish for this weekend is I want to see the Mason Fine touch. The touch we've known. I felt like he kind of got behind the 8 ball at SMU, and I feel like he's trying to get it back. And maybe, if Bussey's out, that's going to be tougher to do because that's going to help him, get those in there. But I just feel like he needs to develop that lucky feeling, that magic feeling he always seems to have, and get that back, and then we should be better on a roll. That'll help cover up from the mistakes from a young defense.
Absolutely. And my thing for this week is, you know how they have that more cowbell? I want a more tight end. I want the tight end to become, because we had the tight end in that first game get a lot of, Pertile got all those touchdowns and everything else.
Hurdle.
And
Wait, let me ask a question. Didn't we have the Pertile, Harry? Didn't we have the Pertile brothers back in the Del Dickey days?
That's right.
We had the
That's probably why I'm thinking
Pertile.
that.
We had two Pertiles. That's where he's getting.
Fred Pertile. And,
It's just literally going to make me short circuit. It's like we're playing bumper cars, like Pertile. It's like,
Do you not remember the Pertile brothers?
whatever,
Yeah,
man.
it's
Fertile,
before
whatever.
his time. Before his time.
I remember the name. You said Pertile after the ACU game podcast we did, and I was like, Pertile? What the hell is he saying? And I was
That's
like,
why,
yeah.
because we had the
So,
Pertile brothers. So that was double. So that's why he's got it. I thought the same thing.
More tight end is all I'm saying. I want to see more tight end.
More
And
cowbell, more
one
tight end.
addendum to that is, if we can, if it is truly we do win this game, like Ashton says, by 20 or more points, man, let's not put the brakes on. Let's just put the pedal down to the metal on these guys, man. I say let's just take it to them. So,
Nice. All right. So Ashton, what's your wish for the week?
A statement game.
I want us to take care of business. We don't ever do that. That's my big complaint with the program right now is we just don't take care of business sometimes. And
Oh no.
if I would like to see that, that would be a good way to go into the rest of this season about.
All right,
Taking
Ashton.
care of business, like you talk about, like
A team you're supposed to win, like last year against UTSA, they had no business being that close to winning that game. We just dilly-dally around sometimes with these teams. Old Dominion, that freaking Old Dominion game. Why did Old Dominion win that game? I mean, they didn't do
Well,
shit
yeah, I
all
mean,
year.
if you look back on last season and you leave out the Utah State game, the 4 games that stick out to me was La Tech, UTSA, UAB, and ODU. We only won one of those games, and that was the UTSA game. But I totally agree. They had no business being in that game with us, and they were. So.
And you know what? People complain you don't get other quarterbacks enough playing time, and you don't get all. If you take care of business in games, then you get more guys a chance to get in and play in the games. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's important for the program, not just in terms of the rankings and all that BS. It's important for the program that if you're supposed to be able to win and you've got better players and better coaching staff, make it happen. That's what I'd like to see.
All right, so Ashton, what's your wish for the week? What do you want to see out of this game besides a win, obviously? But I want the touchback from from Mason. Harry wants more tight end from the Pertile brothers. I'm kidding, from Pirtle. Go ahead, Ashton. What's your hope for the week here?
I want to see turnovers. I want to get turnovers. I want the defense to get two turnovers at least. I want to get a big interception, and I want to get like an awesome strip sack or something like that. I want the defense to get some hype. I want the defense to get some juice, and start getting an edge, and start getting some momentum and some confidence, and thinking, okay, we can hang. We can do this. We can create. Last year Keemon opened the season with a pick 6, and then he followed up with another pick 6, I think. And then then Nate, while Keemon was getting pick 6s, Nate was getting 2 interception games.
Yeah.
So the defense was nasty, and we obviously had the issues with a couple of losses, but I don't think the defense had many issues last year. The defense outside of Utah State, I guess. The defense, losing to UAB and ODU wasn't really defensive problems. That was us not scoring any points in the second half.
That's right.
Right.
So, there was a late hit in UAB. There was a roughing. Tyreek Davis got called for something. That was a killer, because it got them in the range. But that's beside the point. I'll go on another rant here. I want to see some defensive hype. I want to get these young guys need to get some confidence and need to get, to where, they're not just getting 15 tackles. They're wreaking havoc, and they're creating havoc. And I want to see guys like Ladarius Hamilton and Kyrie and T-Rob kind of pick these dudes up and really, if KD Davis lays out a dude and the ball goes flying up in the air, and then one of the freshmen, Andrew Wood, grabs it, or Tyreek gets the interception or something like that. I want to see Kyrie and Hamba like pick KD up and toss him around and just.
No, I agree. I think we need to see a few things to build that confidence. This game against Cal, there wasn't any huge defensive plays. They just kind of steadily came to play solid as the game went on, but nothing to really energize them. If we can get a good defensive energizing play right off the bat, I think that's going to carry over to the offense and keep them going. Everybody will be excited, and it'll all come together. So I totally agree.
Yeah, and the second thing I want to see is this is all besides victory, obviously, is I want to see a big play on offense, at least one. That JD touchdown energized the entire sideline. It got them pumped up, and then we had to wait to make sure it was a touchdown.
Yeah.
And so we had like 2 celebrations, and Coach Maynard was like, yeah, just like that. Like that was just got us going. The flea flicker, in week 1. When Rico caught that ball and just stared at the dude, like that was a big moment. That was a big play. And
we need those. I'm just
those
glad the
moments,
game's
man.
in Denton. I'm glad the game's in Denton. The crowd will help out. The weather's perfect. Crowd should show up. So,
It
all right. So
through the sidelines, we get those big plays, and the crowd gets into it, and the acoustics in that building
Right.
and that stadium it helps, and we just need those big moments. And turnovers are
Yeah.
always big moments.
right. All right. Now I'm going to keep this moving because we're running short of time here. But I will have to say, thoroughly enjoyed the segment on Beyond the Green on Patrick Cobbs. But let me just say this. Yeah, the interviews were great, but holy cow, all the footage you managed to pull up from all those games, I was like, oh my God, I remember because I was at a lot of those games. I remember the Idaho game, watching that
Fun,
one on
isn't it?
TV
Oh, totally.
down at the Loophole. I mean, I remember all of those games from back in the day, and there was some great footage there that, and it was a great segment about him and coming back and how much he loves the university. It was great.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I loved it. I thought it was really good. I thought it came out really well. I love. I'm a sports historian. I love historical stuff. I love art. I love digging up archival footage. That's always been a thing that I've always loved doing. I worked on this project for the Big Ten Network years ago, and it was kind of one of my first sports documentary things. And I geeked out over getting like autogram footage. For Northwest. I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world, and being able to like, when you find a game, you're like, oh, I got the game of blah blah. It's like a crappy game and it's crappy film, but it's just fun and busting all that stuff out. And dude, Pete Cobbs is just the man, and he's back home, and he had this one bite that I just like that kind of give me chills or just made me feel emotional. I don't know if you caught this as well, but he looked at the camera, or he's talking to me off camera, and he said, when I'm coaching these guys and I'm telling them a story, I'm telling them my story, and I thought that was just awesome how he really is. Like, who the hell do you want? Like, I want Latrell sitting in my living room, but I also wouldn't mind having a dude that came from not getting recruited and led the nation in rushing, and then had a very productive NFL career sitting in my living room telling me that I've got the goods. Like that's really, really powerful. And I mean, it's such a weapon in the sense that we've got a guy like that, because again, he's been everywhere. He's seen it all. He's seen, leading the nation in rushing, at North Texas. That was like, what the hell's going on? What's happening in Denton? And so I thought that was a really cool way to kind of highlight that. And he's such a good dude. He loves North Texas.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
Like, I mean, it really is crazy. So I thought it was kind of like my homage to him, because I've known the guy for years now. We've become very close friends, and so I just love the guy, and it was kind of like I wanted to do a feature on him, and what better time to do it after the team, the running back doing, the running backs doing what we're doing, and him just coming back home to Denton.
Well, it's a great story. He was a great player, a fan favorite. Coming back, you can tell it's not just, hey, I got a job and I'm coaching. It's my first stepping stone. He's like, I got a job where I wanted a job. I want, I'm coaching North Texas. I'm getting to do what I want. And the university I love that's been good to me and my wife and, all that. You could tell the passion in his voice. So it was a great segment. Now, can you tease us on what's going to be coming up this week?
Yeah, I can. His name's Trey Siggers.
Okay.
And,
good tease.
He's got a cool story though. I think it's no secret he's moved around a little bit since he's gotten to Denton, and in terms of where he's played and what he was going to do. But there's a mental aspect that goes into that too, that I think is not something that you can read about in an article or see or hear. When I think it's a story, and that's kind of where I was going with this one. So it's turning out really well. Putting the finishing touches on it tonight, tomorrow morning. Get that out the door for everybody. Hopefully tomorrow afternoon, like usual. And it's cool. He's a good kid, man. He's a really good kid. Loves football. Coaches like him. He's a team guy. He's just like, I'll what can I do to help the team? I'll do it. And that kind of reminds you of a guy you talked about. We just talked about. So it's good. It should be a good story, and hopefully it'll. Evan's playing me off. So I'll stop talking.
No, man, that was great. You teased it into this one.
I just heard the music. I didn't hear the intro. I couldn't hear the intro.
Yeah, because it only comes through on the thing. It'll be on the recording though.
Oh, it's kind of like the cane, the cane on stage that kind of.
Yeah, totally. It's Oscar music.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
But
yes, Harry.
I didn't know we were really going yet when Harry goes, or when Evan starts saying, hey, welcome to this episode. I'm like, what? Oh, because I didn't hear the music.
No, that was what I said, man. I said it before. You won't be able. Yeah, I said it before that you couldn't, you wouldn't be able to hear it. So, all right. So here's the deal. I think we finally got how this is going to work. We've got it where it's recording. The sound's good. Todd Samuels, obviously, who is a big fan and a very good alum who puts together the watching parties when the games are out of town. He's actually listening right now, and he's thrown some comments up there. And the good thing is you can actually see his comments. I can post them on there, so you'll be able to see them, and I can tell you guys. So the plan is next week we're going to do this again. We're going to have this live, and people can join in, make comments, bring up things, and we'll add them to the broadcast. So we'll make sure that we have that ability, and we'll schedule it since now we got the technology down. So with that, we're in 52 minutes. We're all excited. We all have our wish list for this week. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.